So I'd like to welcome everyone to this special City Council inaugural, being called really for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to induct our new member of council. So Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Councillor Vanderstelt.
Present.
Councillor Utley.
Here.
Councillor Sless.
Present.
Councillor McCreary.
Here.
Councillor Martin.
Here.
Councillor Carpenter.
Here.
Councillor Antosky.
Here.
Councillor Van Tilborg.
Here.
Councillor Wall.
Present.
And Mayor Davis.
Present.
Just noting Councillor Sikoli is present and will be marked on the roll call after completing her oath.
All right. So members of council, is there anyone that has to declare a pecuniary interest on the item that's appearing on this evening's agenda? Seeing no raised hands. I'll now ask the city solicitor, Kim Jolie, if you would please come forward to administer the declaration of office for Rose Sikoli.
Thank you. Rose Sikoli, would you please read the oath?
I, Rose Sikoli, having been elected or appointed to the office of Councillor for Ward 1 in the municipality of Brantford, Ontario, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing it is of the same force and effect as if it was made under oath.
Please sign the document. The oath has been commissioned.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ollie. So in 2018, Councillor Sikoli, all of the members read what we call the Athenian Pledge, which dates back to ancient times. And in keeping with this practice, I'm now going to ask you, Councillor Sikoli, if you would please read the Athenian Pledge.
I will. I, Councillor Sikoli, of the Council of the City of Brantford, do solemnly declare that I will never bring disgrace to the city by an act of dishonesty or cowardice, nor ever desert my comrades. I will fight for the ideals and sacred things of the city, both alone and with many. I will revere and obey the city laws and do my best to incite a light respect and reverence in others. And I will strive unceasingly to quicken the public sense of civic duty, and thus in all these ways transmit our city greater, better, and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us.
Councillor Sikoli, I'll now ask you to take your seat. If you would please come up and assume your seat as the second Ward 1 representative. Please be seated. All right, before I ask Councillor Sikoli to make a few comments, her opening comments to this council and also to this community, I'd like to just say a few words about Councillor Sikoli, and in particular, just a summary of her background. As most people know, Councillor Sikoli is employed as a sales representative of Century 21 Grand Realty and has from October 2012 to present. She's a graduate of Mohawk College and is currently working towards a bachelor's degree at Laurier University as a part-time student, has been doing that since 2020. Her goal is to obtain a bachelor's degree in political science with a secondary focus on language and economics. Councillor Sicoli has extensive community experience and some really up-to-date civic involvement. She serves on the Brownfield Community Advisory Committee and has since 2021 to present. She was on the Mayor's Economic Recovery Task Force in 2020. She was on the Southwest Sports Complex Task Force from 2015 to 2016. She was on the Tourism Advisory Committee, City of Brantford, from 2014 to 2015. And from 2012 to 2014 was on the Multi-Use Trails and Bikeways Advisory Committee. So she has some very recent and extensive community involvement related to the City of Brantford. She's also maintained an extensive volunteer commitment to her chosen profession by being currently on the board of directors of the Brantford Regional Real Estate Association, and she was the former chair of that association from 2019 to 2020. I believe Councillor Sicoli, with this background and experience, and also, of course, she's a Ward 1 resident, is extremely well qualified to take on her new role as she represents the interests of the residents of Ward 1. And Councillor Sicoli, I warmly welcome you to this council, and I understand you'd like to say a few words.
Is it on? Oh, very good. So thank you for the opportunity just to address all of the councillors, both here and in virtual land. Hello, and thank you. I'm so incredibly privileged to be sitting up here with all of you today. So Mayor Davis, and to all the councillors, I would just like to formally thank each and every one of you for being so supportive during this onboarding process. As you can imagine, these last few days have been an absolute whirlwind, and I really appreciate the opportunity to learn from all of you. My goal, simply put, is to be a positive voice here and a collaborative colleague that hopefully you will all enjoy working with. And I always knew we had some great staff here at the city through my volunteer work, but wow, I am absolutely overwhelmed with all of the brilliant minds that run the show behind the scenes here. So I would not be doing my job if I didn't just send a special shout out to all of the staff here at the City of Brantford. And if I may, I would just like to take a moment to address everyone who resides in Ward 1. I see you, I hear you, because I am you. I understand the need to keep our children safe in the cars in our neighborhood driving slow. My children walk the same streets that yours do. I understand the balance of wanting to see more amenities brought into our area, but the desire to preserve that beautiful green space that we all fell in love with when we moved into our neighborhood. My family shops at those stores and walks the same trails that yours do. I understand that quicker highway access means more time spent with your loved ones, less time in the car. My own husband does that commute Monday to Friday. A community center nearby would mean happier, healthier children, the same wish that I would have for my own children. I'm so excited to embrace the multiculturalism in our neighborhood and to help with the needs of our senior community members through assistance and safe and affordable housing. I am here to support you. I am a phone call or a text or an email away, and I look forward to be of service to you for a very long time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Sicoli. I should also mention you have your husband here present, and as well as your two daughters, one of whom is an Assumption student.
And may I just quickly thank Tony and Haley and Sophia who are here today. They are why I do everything I do. So thank you very much for being here and for being supportive of me. And it's going to be a ride. Let's do this. Thank you.
All right. So before we move into the bylaws to confirm Councillor Sicoli's appointments on various committees, I throw the floor open to the other members of council. If you'd like to make a few words to welcoming our newest councillor, Councillor Sicoli, and any of those. Yes, Councillor Antosky, you're first.
Thank you, Mayor.
Well, we've doubled our complement, Rose. We've got 2 women at the table, one step closer to gender equity. So I'm excited to have you here. I can't imagine what this past week has been like. Be kind to yourself. There's a lot to learn, and all of us were there, and we had a much longer time to kind of ease into things. So good luck. I'm here. I know that the rest of my colleagues are here for you, and welcome aboard. No turning back now.
Councillor Rutley, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Secoli, welcome. It's good to have you on our team. I've had the pleasure of working with you for the past year or so with Bria, excuse me, and impressed with the way you've chaired Bria as president and with GRC as well. And I'm sure all those experiences and talent will be put to good use. You will be tested like you've never been tested before, as we still are, 11 years later. You learn something every day. And I wish more citizens had the opportunity that you and we have in understanding how incredibly complex it is to run a city. We're not a large city, and I'm grateful for that, because it's enough running a city of this side. But it's all made easier by the wonderful staff that we have, very professional, very knowledgeable. And if they don't have the answers, they know where to go to get them. So I wish you success in your new role. And, I think you'll find that councillors are very accommodating and helpful where we've been where you are right now. So we fully understand the challenges that are ahead of you in the next little while. So anyway, it's a pleasure to have you here, and good luck. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And we do have a number of councillors that are attending virtually tonight in accordance with some recommendations made by our medical officer of health in a view of the Omicron variant that we're now facing in this community. But before I go to the Zoom participants, Councillor McCurry, you've raised your hand.
Mayor, thank you. Councillor Secoli, welcome. It's nice to be able to say those 2 words next to one another, finally. I want to tell folks listening that I first met Rose, currently Councillor Secoli, many years ago. We sat on the Bike and Trailways Committee, and coincidentally and ironically enough, another leader was on that committee as well, and that's Councillor Weaver, who unfortunately has stepped down. But one door opens, another door closes. That's the situation we have now. I was fortunate to work with 2 great leaders on that committee, and I'm pleased to see that although one of those 2 leaders has retired, we've got another one here at the table tonight. And Rose, I know you're going to do a good job, and we're all here to help and advise you in whatever capacity you choose. Don't believe everything you hear from anybody in the community. Make up your own mind on things. Be you, and you're going to do just fine. And I'm so proud to have you here with us.
All right, on to the councillors that are participating virtually. We'll start with Councillor Slauson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have to say, my new neighbor is much better looking than the one that moved out. I understand that Councillor Vandersveld has moved to the other side of the room. So enjoy your new home, Jan. And welcome, Rose. Your background says that you're certainly positioned to be successful, and I'm sure you will. I've actually in life have had very little to do with you. I think we met a couple of times when you were the president of Bria. I know Councillor Nutley met with you together just to go over what the city was doing, what the future looked like, and we heard back from you from a real estate perspective how you felt the city was doing. And at that time, you could tell you were very tuned into what the city is up to and where we're heading. So I too would like to say welcome and congratulations. And I'm sure you'll probably hear it 10 times this evening, but if there's anything at all that you feel that one of us may be of assistance to you, please reach out, because we're all here. We're all on the same team and we're all going in the same direction. So please be comfortable and feel free to reach out, because we're here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sless, and on to our other Ward 1 councillor, Councillor Vanderstel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Councillor Sless, I will miss you terribly on the other side of the room. But that being said, welcome, Councillor Scully. It's good to have a ward meet again. I must thank other members of council for their patience and their perseverance with me always seeking a seconder for the last bit. And I appreciate all of their efforts to help along with the constituent needs in Ward 1. Very much appreciated. And Rose, it takes an awful lot of courage to put your name forward for this position. I commend you for that. It's not the environment it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. This environment is quite distinctly different than it once was. And I'll tell you what I tell our staff on a regular basis. We've got your back. It's a difficult and a time-consuming position that you're filling. The learning curve is just at this point astronomical for you. I understand that. And if there's anything that we can offer, any services we can provide, anything we can do to help take those next steps, we're more than willing to. And if there's any recommendations that I could add to the ones that were given to you by Councillor McCreary, I think I would say if you have alligator skin now, I would suggest that you switch that up for dragon scale, because you're probably going to need it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We don't want to scare her away, Councillor Vanderstel. Councillor Well, you're next.
Councillor Rose Sicoli, you are a caring, compassionate, and understanding human being. You are a shrewd entrepreneur, and you have a magnificent track record for community advocacy and leadership. There are few people who I think you could talk to who have met you who would not declare loudly and proudly that you are indeed a person on a mission, memorable, powerful, and awesome. Our community is going to be well served having you at the helm, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to Team Brantford. Let's do it.
Next, Councillor Van Tilburg.
Welcome aboard, Rose. We're a pretty big family here, and I just want to, welcome you here. There's how do I I'm at a loss for words, but I want to say this. You mentioned you're goal oriented, and you had mentioned some time ago after my 2018 election that you said, one day I'll join you. And just like that, here you are. And that's what happens when a person sets goals. Your work on the committees, that shows that how community minded you are and the committees that you chose to be on. And some of those are important and near and dear to me, such as the Brownfield Committee. One of the things, though, that the mayor had mentioned that he doesn't want you scared off. And so should Cheryl Antosky mention to you tonight that perhaps you might want to read the bylaws, just say no. And when your time does come to read the bylaws, and if you're still around the next month, we know what you're made of. So welcome aboard.
Thank you, Councillor Van Tilburg. Councillor Martin, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, Councillor Sicoli. It's wonderful to have the council chambers full again. I've been blessed to have two good ward mates, and you're starting off with a good one yourself. So make sure you utilize your ward mate, get to know him, and work with him on issues. And I think you'll see that things go a lot smoother when you have a good partner to work with. And hopefully you have a long career on council, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Carpenter, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, Rose Sicoli, Councillor Rose Sicoli, to the City Council chambers and City Council. There isn't a greater importance than representing the people in the city in a democratic process. Rose, it's Councillor Sicoli. Sorry, it'll take me a while, but what a wonderful Christmas present for the people of Ward 1. They now have a second representative in Ward 1 to reach out to and the ward councillor has a ward mate to work with. Councillor Sicoli. So I just would like to say welcome. There's, like has been said before, there's 10 other people around the table. Reach out at any time, ask any question that you want. There is no such thing as a silly question. They're all valid, and it's all important to say that we are here at the will of the people to serve the people. They are actually the ones in charge, serving. They are the customer, the constituent, and it's most important to serve them, as I know you will. Welcome aboard, and thank you very much for putting your name forward. Thank you.
All right, we'll now move on to business, and we're going to put you to work now, Councillor Sicoli, and we're going to select and confirm some committees that you're going to be working on. So, Councillor Vanderstel, I understand that you have the motion for item 5.1. If you would please read that and state your seconder.
And I don't really know if I want to state my seconder. I'm just going to make an assumption at this point, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Sicoli. Whereas on December 11th, 2021, City Council appointed Rose Sicoli to fill the Ward 1 council vacancy, and whereas Council appoints members to various committees, boards, advisory committees, and task forces by bylaw, now therefore be it resolved, A, that Councillor Sicoli be appointed to the following: 1, Committee of the Whole, Planning Administration; 2, Committee of the Whole, Operations; 3, Appointments Committee; 4, Estimates Committee; 5, Southwest Task Force; 6, John Noble Home Committee of Management; and B, that Councillor Sicoli be appointed to the following place, in place of Councillor Vanderstel. Finance Committee being 1, 2, Vision Zero Road Safety Committee, and C, that the necessary bylaws be presented to City Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Vanderstel. Any discussion? Seeing no raised hands, Madam Clerk, if you please take the vote.
Resolution 5.1, appointment to committees, boards, advisory committees, and task forces has carried on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor, Councillors Sicoli, Vanderstel, Utley, Sless, McCurry, Martin, Carpenter, and Tusky, Van Tilburg, Wall, Mayor Davis.
All right, we'll now move into bylawing what we just did by resolution. I understand, Councillor Utley, you've got the motion for first and second reading of those bylaws.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm moved by myself and seconded by my ward mate, Councillor John Sless, that leave be given to the mover and seconder to introduce the following bylaws for first and second reading. A preamble, 232-2021, 3, bylaw to amend bylaws 152-2018 and 226-2021, being bylaws to appoint members of council to various committees, boards, advisory committees, and task forces. Special City Council, December 21, 2021. Do I need to read the next one?
Yes.
Thank you. Bylaw 233-2021. 3, bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford with respect to the special meeting held on December 21, 2021. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, and that was seconded by Councillor Sless, as I understand?
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So does anybody want either of those two bylaws separated for discussion purposes? Councillor McCurry, I see your hand raised.
I think it must be a technical glitch, Mayor.
Yes, I see it. Good. Okay. Not seeing anyone wanting those separated for discussion purposes, I'll ask that the clerk proceed with the vote on first and second reading of those two bylaws.
The first and second reading of bylaws carried on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor, Councillors Sicoli, Vanderstel, Utley, Sless, McCurry, Martin, Carpenter, and Tusky, Van Tilburg, Mayor Davis.
Okay. So Councillor McCurry, if you would please read the resolution for the third and final reading of those two bylaws.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased to read this historic bylaw tonight and be ably seconded by Councillor Martin, my ward mate. bylaw reads as follows: that bylaw 232, 2021 through to and including bylaw 233, 2021 be taken as read a third time and be finally passed and signed by the mayor and the clerk.
Thank you. Does anybody want either of those two bylaws separated for third reading? Seeing no raised hands, Madam Clerk, if you please take the vote on third reading.
The third reading of all bylaws is carried on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those voting in favor, Councillor Secoli, Vanderstel, Utley, Slats, McCurry, Martin, Carpenter, and Toski, Van Tilburg, while Mayor Davis.
All right, so Councillor Secoli, it's official. We've given you all of your assignments. You may want some more, and we'd be happy to work with you. But we'll call this special city council meeting adjourned, and we'll be resuming at 6 p.m. the regular city council meeting for this month.